Hi, I'm Alex. I'm the Devil's Advocate, and I talk about movies, TV, music, video games, whatever I want on this channel. And today is a very special day. South Park premiered last night, season 27, episode 1. And this was kind of a tricky one because it wasn't guaranteed to air. It was supposed to air 2 weeks ago, and then that got delayed because of the Skydance Paramount merger. South Park creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker were also in a negotiation over a contract. Like, their contract was up in 2026, so they were renegotiating, and the new owners of Skydance were trying to take majority control of the show, and they were like, I don't think so. So it was not guaranteed that South Park would air at all this week until yesterday, when it was announced that they signed a $1.5 billion contract for 5 years, or for 50 more episodes. I think over 5 years. And so season 27 did premiere last night, and boy, did they have stuff to say. I'm just going to give a brief breakdown of the episode and some highlights. The episode begins with Cartman trying to listen to his favorite radio show, which is NPR, because Cartman loves hearing the whiny liberals cry about stuff. And then is dismayed to find out that the president has canceled NPR, and wonders how the president can possibly cancel a show. Obviously, this is a metaphor for them, but it's also goes into what the president's been doing and suing CBS and getting a settlement and kind of intimidating them and basically saying, like, if you don't acquiesce to me, I'm not going to approve this merger. The merger, South Park has previously put out a statement about the merger when they were first delayed 2 weeks. I'll put the statement on the screen. You can read for yourself. They are not happy about it. So in this episode, Cartman is basically kind of having an existential crisis because to him, woke is dead. Like, people are saying faggot and retard and hating the Jews so publicly and out in the open that he feels like, well, what am I railing against? Because that is Cartman. Cartman is a hateful bigot who likes to hate people. And when everyone's hating people, then he goes, well, what's the point of me anymore? And he's kind of becomes suicidal after that. Ropes Butters into this because as is tradition, Cartman likes to rope Butters into his wacky plans. And his plan is to murder-suicide. Basically, again, a metaphor kind of for, like, we might end the show if push comes to shove. We couldn't do that. We can still walk away. Again, I don't know how this affects the $1.5 billion that they were promised. You know, I'm sure Skydance has a clause in there, or Paramount has a clause in there that they can pull out if they don't want to do it anymore. I'm sure Matt and Trey are absolutely fine with that, considering what this episode following entails. They go on to have PC Principal has changed his name from Politically Correct Principal to Power Christian Principal, and is bringing Jesus back into the schools, which, you know, Randy and the townspeople find distasteful, separation of church and state and all that. But Jesus is back. He's been a character since even before the show began, in their little Christmas card episode of Santa versus Jesus. So here's a character who's coming back, and he's just in the school spouting Bible verses. And no one's quite sure why he's there. Stan and Kyle are a little confused. Stan actually talks, Stan and Kyle really have barely anything to say in this episode. Stan kind of talks about, like, well, why is Jesus here? This is all weird. PC Principal, why are you acting differently? And he's just kind of like, well, I lost. Like, I realized the side I was on was hopeless. And so when people are hopeless, they turn to Jesus. And I understand their point. Like, it is kind of hopeless feeling to be woke and to care and have empathy in this world that is so hateful right now. And so I understand the direction they're going with PC Principal. If again, they're allowed to make more episodes after this, we could see an arc for PC Principal realizing he needs to stand and fight for these things. So Cartman's walking around with a t-shirt that says woke is dead, and he's very sullen and wants to die. Meanwhile, we get the reason for all this hijinks. Trump is in office. Like, the townspeople go to Mr. Garrison's house because in previous seasons they've had Mr. Garrison be their stand-in for Donald Trump to make fun of him. This time they go to Garrison's house. He's there with his boyfriend Rick. Shout out Rick. Just watching White Lotus. Like, no, I haven't been to DC in years. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Who's in office? Because they're like, well, if it's not you, then who's there? And we cut to I did not see this coming, and I was fucking thrilled. They have Donald Trump in the White House, basically as Saddam Hussein.
It's weird that whenever it comes up, you just tell everyone to relax.
I'm not telling everyone to relax. Relax, yeah?
Now, if you don't know, Saddam Hussein was a character on South Park years and years ago, in the 90s and early 2000s, and hasn't appeared in quite a while. He's, been dead and was in hell, and in the South Park movie was kind of the main antagonist of the film. After South Park movie, they've used him a couple more times, and I think the last we saw him, Satan was so tired of dating Saddam that he made a deal with God to put Satan in heaven so he wouldn't bother him anymore. And I think that was the last time we saw him, was him being carried off by Mormons in heaven, because as we know, Mormons are the only people who get into heaven. So we have Donald Trump also dating Satan with the same voice inflection that Saddam does. Hey, relax, guy, come on. He's got the flappy head that's a photograph of Donald Trump's face, which is great. They have paintings in the White House that are all shots at Trump. He's literally having sex with the devil. And they constantly are making jokes about his small dick, which is really funny. And very heavily imply, him and Epstein were together, and they have a party at the White House towards the end of the episode where you see there's a lot of little Easter egg characters, but you'll see sex pests of all kinds. One who I spotted, I don't have a picture of, but what's his name? Jimmy Savile. He's like a British children's entertainer, and he did heinous things. But again, this is just to point out he hangs out with sex pests and rapists, and everyone at the party is also, wearing MAGA hats, and they have all the women have like plastic surgery and shit. I'm sure you can, scan the episode and pick out references, characters. But I think I saw Marjorie Taylor Greene in there, and Fred Savage. So again, this is most of the episode. These are the three plots, like the A, B, and C plot. The A plot is the townspeople versus Trump. The B plot is Jesus in school, and the C plot is Cartman and Butters trying to kill themselves. Really, Cartman trying to kill himself, but also wanting to take Butters with him for some reason. Bro, again, just a funny kind of throwback to when Cartman always brought Butters in on his wacky schemes. So by the end of the episode, Cartman is in Butters' garage in his car, in his parents' car, trying to carbon monoxide himself. But it's revealed that the car is electric, so it's not gonna work. But him and Butters are in there. The townspeople settle a lawsuit with Donald Trump, and they feel good about it. This whole episode, they're taking shots at Paramount, shots at CBS. There's a 60-minute segment. Every time they cut to the news at all, the news is like, oh, geez, oh, boy, oh, we're going to get in trouble, we're going to get sued. 60 Minutes also is very much, are we going to get sued? We just paid him out. He's not going to do it again, is he? Just the absolute cowards that they are, kowtowing to Trump. Jesus shows up to the townspeople, and this episode is called Sermon on the Mount. And I haven't read the Bible, but I think that's a pretty important part of it, as I've heard of it before. And this is kind of this South Park's sermon. This is, this very well could be their last episode. They could get canceled by next week. We don't know. So they have Jesus come out and give a speech at the end of the episode, something like Kyle would normally do, or Stan. But instead of projecting, he's kind of talking like this, because he doesn't, we're trying to muffle the voice a little bit because we're talking about Paramount and the fact that they're cowards and they paid out to Donald Trump and like all this stuff. It was very funny, very genius. There's even a little moment where people are like, what is he saying? And even Kenny's like, I don't know what he's saying. And his voice is muffled, very funny. But he's handing out all this bread, and he's like, eat my bread. Yay, folks. Eat the body. It is my body. And he's like, guys, shut up and just eat. Just keep eating the bread. I'm just breaking it down for you. Don't piss off Trump. Don't piss off Paramount. We don't want to get canceled, guys. South Park cannot get canceled. And they're just, and then they cuts from that to more Donald Trump shenanigans, having sex with Satan. Satan calls his dick the smallest he's ever seen. And this episode ends with a South Park PSA, 1 of 50, right? They just got the deal signed for 50 new episodes. So, presumably, if these continue, they're going to have a PSA for every episode. A pro-Trump PSA. And I just found a little headline saying that Trump makes unconfirmed claims Skydance will give him $20 million in advertising PSAs and similar programming after Paramount merger goes through. So maybe he's trying to say, like, you got to put out some pro-Trump stuff if I allow this merger. So here's South Park being like, all right, here's our pro-Trump shit. And you got to watch it for yourself. I can't put it in this video, but it is I'll put a screenshot. It's a whole live action segment with a deep fake Trump face on this body of this guy. And they're speaking of it. I was like, who walked through the desert to save your sins? Who sacrificed everything for us? It was Donald J. Trump, you guys. And it's just this big, fat, sloppy guy walking through the desert. His pants fall down. He looks ridiculous. And then they have a puppet of his dick, of a tiny little dick, pop up, go like, this message approved by Donald J. Trump. Again, watch it for yourselves, folks. But this was one of their best episodes in years. I like what they've been doing with the movies on Paramount, and I've been disappointed that the newer seasons have been like 6 episodes, 7 episodes short. From what I understand, because this deal is over 5 years and it's 50 episodes, they're going to do 10 a year. That's better than 6, but still, I would wish it would be a little more. However, again, this could all go away. Paramount and Skydance can pull the plug at any time, I believe, because they're the parent companies. Matt and Trey could walk away if they get pissed enough. I would be excited to see what they do next. I heard rumors that they were working with Kendrick Lamar on something, but that's rumors. However, they've made movies before. They made the Book of Mormon while still working on South Park, so they can always make stuff outside of the show. I hope it keeps going. I love South Park. It is my favorite show of all time. I'm so happy of this episode. It is fantastic. The fact that they keep harping on, or Cartman keeps harping on, that everyone in the world is too much like him, so he might as well not exist anymore because he has nothing to rail against. And even the end of the episode, I'll put up this tweet, has Cartman and Butters in the car, and the credits start to roll. This is post the PSA. And they're kind of just talking about, like, I love you, man. What a great run we had. Like, this is kind of their goodbye in case this is the last episode. Trying to have Butters and Cartman kill themselves. And it is, Matt and Trey voice all the characters. Matt voices Butters. Trey voices Cartman. So this was Trey and Matt talking to each other, saying like, "Hey, goodbye, man. Like we had a good run. This was a lot of fun making this show together." So that's it. That's my breakdown. Watch the episode, folks. It is fantastic if you can, because I know now, especially if you're overseas, it's hard to get a hold of now. It's not on HBO. It's not on. It might be on Paramount. I don't know. If you're overseas, streaming services are called different names, so I don't even know if you can get it. But if you can, get it. And if not, there's pirates in them seas, and you can get it another way. It's a great episode. Post it everywhere. Piss off Trump. Fuck those people. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Anyone who's telling you this episode is not good, or, oh my God, they got political. It's like, they've been political since day one, motherfucker. Day fucking one. Again, their first thing, even before the pilot episode, was a Christmas card in which Jesus fights Santa for the domination of Christmas. That's political, folks. That's political. South Park's great. It's back. I hope it stays. Shit was fucking awesome. Take care, folks.